Hey everyone, I'm Tsunani. Welcome to my new video. Lightwish sent me some paints and a sketchbook to try out, so today we are testing them together. I want to fill a sketchbook spread with you in this journal today. The sketchbook already looks really beautiful and high quality. It's the Lightwish watercolor journal. It has 100% cotton paper, 300 GSM, which is really thick, and it's a hot pressed paper, which I especially like because I personally prefer hot pressed paper. I also really enjoy the square format. It's 19 to 19 centimeters or 7.48 to 7.48 inches. There's also a landscape version of the sketchbook available. It also has a ribbon bookmark here and an elastic band. I always love when sketchbooks include those because my sketchbooks tend to get thicker and fuller over time since I keep putting papers and little things inside them. And there's a pocket in the back, which is super practical. So overall, I would say this is a really thoughtfully designed sketchbook. Now let's talk about the watercolor paints. As always, Lightwish really shines when it comes to aesthetic and high quality packaging designs. The paints come in this solid box and the metal palette is wrapped in a soft cloth. The packaging design is very similar to Paul Rubens paints, but I think both brands probably come from the same company. There's definitely some resemblance. This palette contains 48 half pens. You also get a swatch card and there's a nice thick brush included as well. That was actually a very positive surprise, the brush. So first I will unpack all the pens, then we will swatch the colors and I will tell you my thoughts about them. If you would rather skip directly to the painting part, I will put the timestamp on screen for you right here. This is where the sketchbook spread starts. Like I said, there are 48 colors in the new set. I was honestly pretty happy that there are no metallic colors included. Usually in very large sets, you also get special effect colors, but I personally never use those, so I really like the color selection here. I've already tested Lightwish paints a few times before, and just like always, all the colors in this set are very vibrant and intense. It contains everything you really need, honestly more colors than you actually need. There are lots of yellows, oranges and reds, pinks and purples, lots of blues and greens, more than enough browns and also neutral mixing colors. So there's really a huge variety. The only thing I do have to mention is that some of the pigments and names don't really make sense together. I don't want to go too deep into that now, into the pigment things. I mostly use colors visually and intuitively, but by now I do know enough about pigments to notice that the ultramarine blue here is actually a very cold blue, more like an ocean blue. It's definitely not a PB29, and it also doesn't granulate here. It almost feels like the wrong pen got wrapped into the sleeve here or something. And yes, with some other colors as well, the names and pigments don't really match. But honestly, if you're someone who chooses colors more by feeling and appearance and you're not deeply into pigments, this probably won't bother you at all. This is also something I've noticed before in other Lightwish palettes. But despite that, I still enjoy painting with them because the colors are so vibrant and fun. There are also a few colors in the set with texture or slight granulation, the cobalt blue for example, and some of the browns. Oh, and a few yellow shades are pretty similar to each other. Same with 2 of the oranges. But overall, I still think the color selection is very successful and I will definitely enjoy using this palette. There are also a few pastel shades included, like a pastel peach, they call it skin, and turquoise light and turquoise deep, as well as a lemon sienna, which I actually think is really beautiful. I've never heard of this color. So overall, this is a large, affordable watercolor set that feels very high quality and contains bright, vibrant colors. But if you are used to very professional, expensive paints from big brands or handcrafted colors with a lot of character, and if you know a lot about pigments, then this set maybe won't fully satisfy you. But for a beginner who wants to try watercolor and experiment with lots of colors at a good price, I think this set could make you very happy. Lightwish also offers many different set sizes, and so does Paul Rubens. I've also reviewed their palettes many times as well, so if you are currently searching for an affordable watercolor palette, maybe check out some of my other reviews too. So here are the colors. I'm excited to finally start painting now. A few days ago I made this sketch because I encountered a red velvet mite in nature. Trombidium holosericeum. I absolutely love these little creatures. Yes, if you look at them very closely, some people might think they are a little creepy, but I find them incredibly fascinating. I also have so many childhood memories of seeing these tiny red dots on stones. I already loved them as a child. Today I'm painting a kind of fantasy version of a red velvet mite. I hope you are not too scared of it. Later on the second page there will be also a bellflower painting. I also wanted to test the brush and pick a good color for the mite. The brush holds a lot of water and actually feels really good. It also forms a very fine point, so you could definitely use many different techniques with just this one brush. Today I'm only using it for my colorful backgrounds and the color tests because I want to work a little more detailed later and prefer using my smaller brush for that. I'm not exactly sure whether the brush hair is synthetic. I assume it is. Kind of looks like hair, but it kind of looks like real hair, but I think it's dyed synthetic hair. Maybe a mix. I will put it on the screen if I manage to ask Lightwish before this video goes online. So now I'm painting the background for my mite. I really love working in negative painting techniques where you first place color onto the paper and then slowly paint around your subject. You just have to be careful to not start too dark and intense because we still want to build layers later with our watercolor paints. Unfortunately, I forgot to clip down the page properly so you can really see how much the paper warped. I used enormous amounts of water on the left page. This didn't happen because I haven't used so much water, but because it's 100% cotton paper, I already knew it could flatten again after drying, and it did. Sure, there are still a few little waves visible, but not enough to bother me. In general, that kind of thing doesn't really bother me much anyway. I honestly have to say, I think this paper is fantastic. Painting on it was so much fun, and overall I genuinely think this sketchbook is really good. I can absolutely recommend it. Everything about it just works so well together. The hot press paper, the format, the ribbon, the elastic band. After finishing this spread, I immediately wanted to continue working in the sketchbook. And I already have 2 sketchbooks going at the same time right now, but this one will definitely be next once one of them is full. I just love everything about it. The soft green, I think it's fake leather cover, the paper, just everything. I've tested paper from Lightwish a few times recently, and I always found it really good. Even in my last Lightwish video, I will link that for you. I tested these little square cotton papers, and those were cold pressed and also really excellent. I liked them a lot. Good paper is just so important. I can't say it enough. No matter what paints you own, good paper matters more. The cheapest paints can look amazing on good paper, but the most expensive paints can look terrible on bad paper. I'm having a déjà vu now. I think I definitely said this before in any video, I guess. Oh, and by the way, I already talked a little in my last video about collaborations with different companies. Here I just want to mention again that, as always, I'm sharing my honest opinion about these products, and I'm speaking so highly of the Sketchbook because I genuinely think it's excellent. And that makes me especially happy because Lightwish is honestly one of the nicest companies to work with, always friendly. I had another super pleasant contact experience with them, no pressure at all. Some companies can become really pushy and send pages of demands and get unfriendly if you don't want to do things exactly their way. Lightwish has always been relaxed, friendly, and pleasant. I just wanted to mention that because it really can be very different, and especially for me personally, it makes a huge difference whether a company has a kind and supportive communication or not. I guess you can understand this. Back to the velvet mite. I always completely nerd about topics when I get interested in something, so I collected a few facts for you about why I find this creature so fascinating. The red velvet mite belongs to the arachnids, just like all mites, so technically it's more spider than insect. I find them absolutely fascinating because they almost don't look real. Their whole body is covered in tiny soft hairs, which gives them this velvety appearance. They really do look like tiny walking pieces of red velvet. Sometimes when I see them outside, especially on moss or damp soil, they almost look like tiny fantasy creatures wandering through the forest. They look unbelievably soft, but I actually won't recommend touching them because they are unfortunately extremely fragile and probably wouldn't survive being handled. That was something I had to learn as a child. So admire, don't touch. You often see them after rain when it's warm and humid outside. Most of the time they actually live hidden in the soil, so spotting one always feels a little special somehow. I get excited every single time I discover one. Some are absolutely tiny, where you can barely recognize their shape. And then there are slightly bigger ones, especially in the forest. I've seen larger ones around 2 millimeters big, and I just love observing them. And despite looking so soft and adorable, they are actually tiny predators and even considered useful in gardens because they feed on other very small vermins. Nature is so strange and wonderful sometimes. Even the tiniest little beings can look completely magical. And of course, creatures like this inspire me deeply. I think especially these tiny things that are so easy to overlook can be incredibly special. It's really worth walking through the world with open eyes and paying attention even to the small things. There's so much fascinating stuff to discover. As you can see here, I then used colored pencils to refine everything a little more. shadows, tiny hairs, and little details. I absolutely love colored pencils using over watercolor, and on this paper it works beautifully because it's hot pressed, so it's very easy and you can layer the colored pencils very good. On the left side earlier I had only swatched a few colors, and at that point I didn't know whether to paint something over it or not, but now I really like to paint a flower there and test a few more colors. First I sketched my motif. This time I wanted less detail, no colored pencils at the end, just a flower painted again using negative painting techniques. I chose a beautiful strong blue and a very cool green for this piece, so color is more the focus here right now. In the end, I'm really happy with my spread. I had so much fun with this sketchbook and these paints. I hope you enjoyed the video too. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss future videos. Thank you so much for your support. And a huge thank you to my wonderful patrons. You truly are the best. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful time, my friends. I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care. Yours, Tsunani.